So commonly, we'll be talking to someone and they'll say, "Oh, the seller said it's not in a flood zone," but that's because the seller doesn't have any debt, thus they don't have a requirement. And then they go through their underwriting process, they get all the way to the last, 20, 30 days. Then all of a sudden the lender says, "By the way, the flood zone has throwing up a requirement. You're going to need this amount of flood insurance for closing," and they weren't prepared for that. So now you've got a wrench in your underwriting that you didn't model for.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Bursey, and today I'm joined by someone I've really been looking forward to chatting with, DJ McClure, who's been making serious moves in the asset value enhancement space. DJ serves as the Vice President of Sales and Business Development at National Floods Expert. DJ collaborates with national flood experts and engineering experts to deliver tailored, cost-saving solutions for flood zone properties across a variety of vertical commercial real estate markets. NFE has saved clients over $30 million in insurance premiums and added over $500 million in property value since 2014. DJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. And I think our audience is really going to take something away from your ability to see the unicorn, if you will, those unique opportunities in properties everyone else seems to be running away from. Let's dive in, shall we?
Sure.
So first off, for people who may not be familiar with your story, your background, give us the short version. What have you been up to recently?
Sure. So I came across this company 8 years ago. They had, started the company a few years before. I'd had a background in the tennis industry, played in college, taught tennis professionally for the bulk of my 20s, which I, like to say was really my sales foundational training. Dealing with people is dealing with people, and solving problems is, the same regardless of the industry. So, I came across this company. I found it very intriguing, the problem they were solving, which was, helping reduce flood insurance costs, for properties in flood zones. And the founder, he kind of told me the story of how the company was created. And, he's a professional engineer, had done, some of your typical civil projects, but took a break and actually worked in the insurance space. And he found there was this overlap in this really underserved area of the real estate industry that could provide tremendous value. And so, the company was founded with that very mindset. And so I really was drawn to that. And, 8 years later, here we are still chasing flood zones.
That's awesome. I wasn't aware of your tennis background. A lot of people that have that sort of background can excel in business because of the basic principles, team principles, things of that nature. So I find that really cool. What markets are you guys operating in?
So our company is based out of Tampa, Florida. Majority of our team is located out of there. We work nationally. You wouldn't think about it. Most people, when you say flood zone, they think of the coastal areas. But in reality, like we're doing projects, in all 50 states around the country.
Cool, cool. A broad spectrum. DJ, what caught my attention about you was the way you've been able to reframe risk as opportunity. That's not easy, especially in this climate. What's been the key to keeping your machine running smoothly?
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Well, I think there's a huge misunderstanding within the real estate space about, kind of how the flood zones operate, how they're created, updated, and then kind of what really centers around why flood insurance is required. And so there was, a law passed, back, in the late 60s that basically said anything that is in 100-year flood zone. And the flood maps weren't really started until the early 70s in some parts of the country, and then it into like the mid 80s. So any federal loan that was found to be inside a 100-year flood zone was then required for flood insurance. And for many years, lots of investors they just continue to renew the policy, not knowing that there could be a chance that the flood zone might have some outdated information. And so one of the core services that we started with was helping clients advocate to have their properties removed from the 100-year flood zone. Um, and that's just continued to expand, all these years.
Sure, it really has evolved. Great point. Now, every operator I know has a moment where, things got real, DJ. Maybe a deal went sideways or a time that you or the company had to pivot fast. You want to mind sharing one of those moments with us?
Yeah, we've had clients where, they've had a certain forecast for their properties, and maybe they go into a refinance, and we find that there's blind spots that tend to happen because the loan programs dictate the flood insurance requirements. And so you may have only had to carry a certain limit per building initially. You go into maybe like an agency loan that has very specific limit requirements, more closely related to the replacement value. And, so these are some of the pivots that happen because, they may have to take on a cost they weren't expecting, but these are the moments that we, try to point these blind spots out before they become problems. So the pivot is really finding someone that can help with that solution. Once we get the flood maps updated with FEMA, it removes that requirement. And then, this could be someone we met that refinanced last year. Now all of a sudden they've got an extra 100,000, in cash flow, or if we meet somebody early enough, like right now, there's obviously a ton of properties that are trying to refinance. And if we're able to address this before they go in, obviously this has a dramatic impact on the loan proceeds. And then instead of having to take on that huge cost, we've prevented that from becoming, potentially a blow up scenario for the refi or just for the cash flow going forward.
Oh, absolutely. And it's incredible to me how the moments that feel like a disaster, in real time often become the foundation of the company's growth, perhaps over the next 10 years. And honestly, that's the filter, DJ, that separates the people that are dabblers in the industry, and it defines the companies that are in it for the long run. Let me ask you
Yeah,
this.
2020 was the test for us because, 2020 things are going kind of nuts as a lot of companies had. And, we kind of had some, do we lean in and continue attacking the market? Do we pull back?
Uh,
We were adding team members at the time and, it ended up being like one of our best years, up to date because obviously the real estate market was active, but we've been able to weather the storm these last 5 years as the real estate market has shifted. It's changed a lot of the ways that we're finding clients, and it's changed a lot of the different ways we've been able to help. So
yes, yes, I can see that. Let me ask you this: what is the company most focused on solving or scaling next?
If you're looking for consistent, high quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
well, I think we've been really focused, these first 10 plus years really on existing real estate. We've definitely shifted more into the development space. As urban density has got to be what it is, as areas are starting to be redeveloped or, maybe we're starting to move into, some of the more outer rural areas, there's some flood zone, drainage, regulatory things that are making these projects more complicated. There's more updates to the flood maps that they're requiring as part of those construction projects. So that has started to bring those clients to us a lot more frequently. But, I'll tell you, Scott, the big thing that's different in this audience specifically is because like NFE has this brain that has three overlapping, thought processes. One being the engineering side, of course, the second being the flood insurance expertise, and then the real estate expertise on top. So when we go into working with a developer, we're trying to help them understand how do we set something up from the beginning to improve the value of that the most possible, and then how do we help mitigate and reduce future insurance costs for the flood. That's typically overlooked in a good majority of cases that we see. So it's a very unique partnership that we do working typically with the other civil firms as part of the development team, and so now we've brought all the different lines of thought to help maximize the value.
Sure. Where do you see your business world, the company's business world, in the next 10 years?
That's a great question. I mean, the thing about our core business lines is that the flood maps continue to update on different schedules, at the county level around the country. So there's a never ending, kind of wheel that's turning for properties that need our initial review because we do like a no cost desktop review for all the properties that we first look at to see, is there something we can do with the flood zone? Is there something we can do to help our engineers be able to, advocate with their flood insurance carrier to reduce the policy? So that I don't see that business line really ever going away. But we really started to get into, like I said, the development side is endless. There's a tremendous amount of things that we can do just with some softwares that we have built initially for internal use, that allow us to be able to forecast and understand, some of the flood insurance cost forecasting for when a levee gets built into an area or other infrastructural projects. With the way FEMA's flood insurance program is built now, it's really hard for the local municipalities to be able to understand the ROI on those projects. So I really see us getting involved at a much larger scale, with some of these projects going forward.
If you talk a moment or two about the competition, what sort of
Um,
competition are you facing in the marketplace, and some hurdles that you may see there?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a lot of misinformation that exists in some cases at the local level. So, you know, we don't generally run into a lot of competitors that are doing the exact same type of review that we're doing. So that almost becomes a competitor in itself because no one has anything to
Sure.
compare it to.
Sure.
So someone might get, not necessarily out of wrong intent, but they may get misinformation and understanding that, yes, the flood zones can be changed. Yes, there's updates that can be done, to the benefit of the property. So it's helping to educate and really advocate for these property owners. Um, and so in doing that, we're, I think, hopefully, kind of paving our own way. We like to think, but we definitely didn't invent these processes. So there's definitely other engineering groups. There's some other consulting groups that we do run into from time to time, that also do great work. I think that what makes us, kind of separate ourselves is the way that we've built our process and the knowledge bases that really core from the engineering expertise first.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Sure. Makes perfect sense. Thank you for that. What is the company doing to strengthen the relationships in the industry?
So we partner a lot with the adjacent industries that are serving the same clients. So most commonly, we work with the insurance brokerage industry. So basically any of the insurance brokers you think about all around the country, whether it's the big national firms or some of the independent ones, we try to help them, by really giving them our service at their fingertips to be able to help their clients because again, having our team's ability to go, deeper into these scenarios, and since there's no cost to do the review, like why not? So the insurance teams, they use us heavily in their prospecting. They use us to take care of their current clients. We help with, again, pointing out these blind spots that are happening with new acquisitions or refinances, that's on the debt side. And then from that, we've branched out over the years. We work with the investment sales brokers, as well. They're trying to do whatever they can to help their clients find hidden value opportunities. They're trying to help their sellers maximize their sale proceeds. And then probably Scott, the third one that's the most common is like we do partner a lot with some of the lending teams, because again, what we've done is kind of mapped out where does the flood zone throw up a flag in the real estate life cycle from start to finish and try to make sure we're networking with all those same individuals to help solve that problem.
Sure. Is there any advice you'd like to provide for our audience in closing?
Absolutely. So if you're buying a property that you think might be in a flood zone, you can obviously reach out to our team and we can help, confirm and share some high level details. But I think it's always important to understand that what the seller's debt situation is may not be the same for you, and what their flood insurance requirements are in place will not automatically be the same for you as well. So commonly, we'll be talking to someone and they'll say, "Oh, the seller said it's not in a flood zone." But that's because the seller doesn't have any debt, thus they don't have a requirements. And then they go through their underwriting process, they get all the way to the last, 20, 30 days. Then all of a sudden the lender says, by the way, the flood zone has throwing up a requirement. You're going to need this amount of flood insurance for closing, and they weren't prepared for that. So now you've got a wrench in your underwriting that you didn't model for, um, and not to mention you've got a short time window. So we get those calls all the time, and fortunately we're nimble enough to be able to move quickly and help counteract that. But early detection with this kind of thing is key.
Excellent. Excellent words of wisdom by somebody that knows what he's talking about. DJ, this has been a pleasure. All right, before we wrap, if someone wanted to reach out and connect with you, maybe collaborate or learn more about what you're doing, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, I mean, they're welcome to send me an email. It's just first name, dj@nationalfloodexperts.com. I encourage people to also check out some of the case studies on the website just to be able to, see some real life examples.
Perfect. Well, listen, I appreciate your time and your perspective. We need more people in this space who are doing it the right way. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you.
And for those of you tuning in, if you got value from this, make sure you're subscribed. We've got more conversations coming up with people in DJ's position next. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great day.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.